Hi, you're listening to Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Bhaskar Sundram, and with my co-host,
Ashley Case,
we will be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry.
Today's guest is Robin Davies. Robin has more than 20 years of commercial and state and local proposal experience. In 2009, Robin established Metre, a successful proposal and sales operations consulting firm that helps healthcare clients win business. Working with startups to become some of the largest health plans in the country, Robin and her team have helped secure billions of dollars for her clients. She's proud that over 80% of her work comes from repeat business, a testament to the trusting relationships her and her team build with clients. Prior to founding Metre, Robin fell into proposals at Healthways and then built the company's first knowledge management and proposals development over the next 9 years. Robin is an APMP Fellow, former member of the International Board of Directors, and chair of the Rhythm and Harmony chapter, which includes members from Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Robin describes herself as a brave, passionate, lifelong learner. She's driven by the desire to make a positive impact in the lives of people around her, whether that is helping a client win business through proposals or creating a warm and inviting neighborhood bar and restaurant in her community. Welcome, Robin, to Scribble Talk. Great to have you with us.
It is great to be here. Thank you.
So Robin, we kind of want to get to your roots. We're curious where you were born, where you grew up, and where you went to school.
Wow. So I was born in an itty bitty town called Springwater, New York. It is about 40 miles south of Rochester in Western New York. I grew up on one of the smallest of the Finger Lakes. If you know anything about New York, we have beautiful lakes. Spent most of my childhood there. We did do about 3 years out in Arizona and then some time in Pennsylvania while my parents were attending different missionary schools. So that was their ultimate goal. So graduated high school from Wayland, which was a town next to Springwater. Springwater was so small, didn't even have our own school. So the school we went to was like 5 or 6 different little towns, all went to the same school. Graduated there in 86, went to college at Bryant and Stratton. It was a get in, get out quick type of school. We didn't have there was no college fund for us. And so I needed to go to work. And so I have an associate's degree in executive secretarial science so that I could go out and start making money. I was always very eager to just get on with life, learn what I needed to learn, and then get out there and apply it and learn as I go.
Very interesting. So was your first job related to that secretarial science, or where was your first job then?
It was. So one of the biggest industries in Rochester is Kodak, or was back in the day. And so I got an internship while I was in school at Kodak, and then they hired me right out of school for a couple of years. So yeah, I was in data processing. Again, this is late 80s. And actually had shorthand while I was in college and used it at my first job at Kodak. I was working for an older gentleman who really expected you to come in his office and sit down and he would dictate letters. So it was the 80s, but it felt like the 50s.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Nowadays, if you ask, 10 people to write shorthand, I don't think anyone would be able to do it.
No, I know how to write my name and I love you. And those are the only two things that I
that you remember. Yeah. It's like a foreign language. You don't remember it if you don't use it.
Right. Right.
So you started out at Kodak. When did you eventually become involved with proposals?
Oh, well, long and winding road. I moved to Nashville in '95. After Kodak, I went on to another job as a distribution coordinator for, ironically enough, a beer company out of Canada called Labatt's. And I was working in an office where they worked with 5-6 breweries throughout New York and Pennsylvania, which was all of them at the time. Now there's dozens of breweries, but there was just a few then. And when they get done with the brewer's grain, after making the beer, they sell it to dairy farmers to feed to their cows because it produces a lot of fat in their milk. And the more fat they have in their milk, the more they get paid. So my job was to coordinate those deliveries from the brewery to the farmers. And there was a lot of Amish, throughout Pennsylvania. And so that was always challenging getting a hold of them. And so anyway, that job came to a close. They were going to be moving to Pennsylvania. And I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that. So looks like I'm out of a job. Time to go to Nashville. I had always wanted to move to Nashville. I was a singer and songwriter and played around, my town up in New York. And so it was my opportunity in 1995 to just take a leap. So I just moved on down to Nashville, lived in a hotel for about a month before I found a place to live and a job. And I did within about the first 6 or 8 weeks that I was here for a small insurance company, but eventually led to a job in 2000 at Healthways. And that kind of changed everything. Healthways is where I fell into proposals. I call that my advanced college years, like where most people were in school for 4 years and I was in school for 18 months and then out in the world. Healthways was an amazing company back in the day. It was very small at the time. It was fast growing. It was very agile and fun, and we worked hard and we played hard, and all my friends were there. I built my whole community around that. And when you identified a need, you were given the space and opportunity, if you wanted it, to build something. And I was the support for the sales team, and we started getting RFPs about 2001, and no salesperson wants to respond to an RFP. So they would bring them to me, knowing full well that I'll take it, and say, can you just, answer these questions? So after that happened a couple times, I'm like, this is not as easy as you think it is. And these people are knocking on our door to buy something, and you're giving it to me to write the answers. So I started doing a little research, found APMP, convinced my boss, let me go check this out, see what this is all about. And I did. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is a career. This is a bona fide thing.
Yeah.
And they have it all figured out, so I don't have to. So
Absolutely.
went back to my boss and said, so this is a thing, and I think we should do this. And he says, well, do you want to do it? And I'm like, I'll do it. And that proceeded the next 8 years. I built the whole department and team, and we had a couple acquisitions. So the time I left, by the time I left at the end of 2008, I had a team of 10 people, and we were rocking. So that's how I got into proposals. Yeah.
So as you talk about it, I can hear the passion in your voice about proposals. What makes you passionate about proposals?
Well, I guess I'm a salesperson at heart. I really like connecting people who can help each other out. I like problem solving. I feel like RFPs are an opportunity to solve a puzzle, to link up with what the client wants or what they need to solve a problem that they have, and then what we can do as a company to solve that. So I really get into that. I like getting into the mind of the buyer and figuring out what makes them tick. And being a songwriter, I like writing already. And so I have a passion and a drive for that anyway. So I like working with clients to just really kind of dig deep and figure out really what makes them special and how that can solve a problem for the buyer. So I don't know. It's one of those weird things that you just like, who knew? I don't know. But I really do get into it.
I think so many of us can relate to what you're saying about solving that problem and wanting to meet the needs of the client. And then, I think also part of it is like, I think some of us just like winning.
Yeah, sure. Who doesn't like to win? Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So running a department for all those years and now running your own business, I'm sure you have some memorable proposal experiences. Are there one or two that stick out in your mind?
For sure. First, when I was at Healthways, the biggest one we ever did was for CMS, for the Centers of Medicaid and Medicare. And it was the first just giant project that was all consuming for 60 days. And so that was my kind of first giant one. And I was like, wow, these things can get really massive. And was when we delivered it, at midnight to the FedEx, it was a real sense of pride and accomplishment. And, even though we were exhausted, and it was one of those things where it's like, wow, I can do anything,
right.
And then in my consulting firm, memorable can mean good and bad, right? So I've got a memorable for all the wrong reasons, and I have a memorable for all the good reasons. I was working with a big client on the downside. One thing you can't impact when you walk into a company as a consultant is their culture and how they work. And so we have to quickly get up to speed with how things work around here and how are we going to work with their dysfunction, because there's always dysfunction.
Yeah.
And so that's just part of the game going in, is to figure that out. And we were on this particular project where there was just a lot of dysfunction in the organization. There was also a reorg right in the middle of it, of the project, that impacted the sales team and the account management team that we were working with. So they were in fear of their jobs right in the middle of it. They were going to this reorg. So all of this, there were personal issues. Someone was, having health issues in their family that were severe. And so it was just all the distractions that could happen happened right in the middle of the project. So made it difficult for us to reel people in and, continue forward in that environment. So it was just an uphill battle every single day. On the upside, well, they won. So yay. there's that. That always, helps. And then on the flip side of that, the best client I ever had was a small health plan, and everything just worked. They collaborated well. They were warm and inviting and listened to us. As a consultant, people pay us a lot of money and then don't listen to what we say sometimes. And these people, they listened. They did what we told them to do for the most part, and it was easy. They were kind, and we fell in love with them. We fell in love with everything about working with them, and we're about to start another project with them, so I'm super excited.
Oh, wow.
And it just happened to be right on the heels of the really bad one. And after that really bad one, I was like, oh, please, Lord, bring me somebody. Please bring me a client I want to work with. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And she delivered up that one.
So while you were at Healthways, you mentioned getting involved with APMP. So at what time did you become a member of APMP?
Probably 2001, I think is probably when I signed up. That was just when I was getting into it.
Yeah. And so did you jump right into like a bid and proposal con, or what was your first experience with the conferences?
So I don't remember where the first one was, but I went every year after that when I could, or I would send my team, if I was limited to who could go. But yeah, I walked in and I was just like, oh my God, these are my people. This is the promised land for proposal professionals. It was like, oh, the whole light shining down from heaven, and it immediately had an impact on me.
Yeah, no, I definitely can relate, when you're in a space with so many people that are experiencing the same challenges and have the same passions as you. It's a pretty cool experience. So you went on to become a member of the International Board of Directors. Tell us a little about that experience.
Yeah, so I kind of did things backwards. I got nominated to be on the international board, and I'm like, okay, cool. And now, of course, I'm at the local level. But it was really interesting. I loved learning how things work, and we were in a really big growth space at that time. And that was our biggest challenges, was how to grow. I was always carrying the commercial, now called business sector, flag up the hill. I didn't start it. There were others before me. But the one thing that, I noticed early on is that, APMP was built out of the federal buying process. And so it was very federal focused. And in the commercial world, things work differently and faster, and we don't have the lead time. And so processes had to change because of that. So when I was on the international board, I led a task force for commercial. And so that was my biggest contribution, was how can we make the body of knowledge more commercial friendly? How can we make more programming that is going to be geared towards commercial versus federal? There was a lot that I learned from sitting in on federal sessions. But at the same time, there was a lot of things they were speaking about that were over my head and just didn't resonate and didn't make sense to my world. So I feel like that's the maybe biggest impact that I had there. And when I left, it was handed off to someone else, and it's carried on. And there's others that are leading the charge now, and there were people that led the charge before me. And I think we've seen a big transformation over the last few years that I feel like it's more balanced now between federal and commercial.
Sounds like you've been doing some very interesting things with the Rhythm and Harmony chapter. I believe you recently led some kind of transformation and growth efforts. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so it was formerly the Mid-South chapter that was formed in 2010 or 11 by Bill Boggs. He was with Boeing in Huntsville, Alabama. And so he set up the chapter and recruited me and said, would you come over and join our chapter? And so I said, I love the idea. They wanted to do a lot of in-person meetings. So I said, will you commit to doing some in Nashville? And he said, absolutely. We're not that far from Huntsville. So they did. I joined the chapter, and those first couple of years we had really good quarterly in-person meetings. And then a couple of years ago, they started running out of steam. Bill had moved on to, he had moved. They had kind of run through all of the volunteers in Huntsville. And it was really came to the point where either we're going to close this chapter down or someone needs to take it over. And I'm like, whoa, well, I can't let that happen. So I said, let's move it to Nashville. And I had a co-chair for a while who was in New Orleans. And so we transformed it to virtual. We changed the name to Rhythm and Harmony to make it a little more fun. We're not nearly as serious as federal. People who are very regimented. So we thought, well, let's loosen up a little bit. And so we changed the name. Thought it was kind of reflective of what makes Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee special, and that's music. So that's where we landed. We had big plans for our conference this year that was going to be in Nashville, and are so excited about that.
You've talked about APMP and attending the conferences. I think you've spoken at many conferences and given a lot of webinars. Do you have any memorable experiences from those contributions?
I love doing it all the time. The first few, we're not great, but you get better at that, and you learn how to. You should probably practice before going into that instead of just winging it. But I love talking to my peers. I like connecting with people in that way. My favorite, I guess if I had to choose one, was a few years ago in Proposal Con. They did these Ignite presentations. And so it was 5 minutes. You had 5 minutes on any topic you wanted it to be. And the slides automatically advanced every, 15 seconds. And so you kind of had to have it down. Yeah, kind of had to have your script down. And that presentation was really challenging to put together, but it was super fun. And I did it on my presentation was called No Papers. And it was about the fact that I know that there's a lot of people in APMP that have advanced degrees, and that's really something to be proud of. But there's also a lot of us that just fell into it and maybe don't have the papers, behind us, but that we can be just as successful. Kind of talking about building relationships and, the soft skills that really drive what makes us successful. That it's not about a PhD. It's about how do you show up every day? How do you build relationships? How do you, advance in your career and feel good about that? So that's kind of what the presentation was about, and that kind of the niche that I've fallen into that I love to talk about is those interpersonal effectiveness type of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that you kind of bring that superpower to running your own business. What inspired you to start your own business and run Metre?
Well, I got fired from Healthways. Most entrepreneurs, I'll tell you, that's usually their story. Well, it started with I got fired. In the mid-2000s, things at Healthways started to change. We had a new CEO. They had hired this big consulting firm to come in, and of course, their answer to how do we scale is to fire a lot of people that you don't need. So we went through these rounds of layoffs, and when it got to, they kind of did it by level. And so when they got to my level, which was senior director, vice president level, we all knew it's coming. They were very transparent about it. Everybody's going to have a meeting. You're going to be called to HR, and you're going to find out whether you still have a job or not. And I'm walking around thinking, well, they can't get rid of me. I built the department. I built the thing from the ground up. I'm the lead singer of the company band. I'm a lot of fun. How can they can't do this without me? Well, right. I walked into that meeting, and they were, and the CEO was there. We had he'd grown up in the company as I did, and our offices were next to each other for a very long time, and now all of a sudden he's the CEO. So he was in the meeting, and he's like, well, we're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, what? Okay. So from that, first of all, you're devastated. I was devastated. It was like the carpet's been ripped up from underneath me. These are all my friends. This is where I work. These are all my friends too. This is my band. Everything is here. I have built my life around this place. And then I start doubting myself. Well, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. So all of that seeps in. So when I went to the next job, worked for this wellness company out of Chicago for about 6 months, and went there, set up their shop, and I thought, okay, I do know what I'm doing. So, phew, thank God. Thank God I didn't get too complacent, and I'm really not as good as I thought I was. I'm like, nope, I got this. I'm good. And I started getting calls from some of our partners that we worked with when I was at Healthways, other companies that we would partner with on different projects, and had good relationships with those companies. And so the CEO of one of those partnerships called me, and he says, what are you doing these days? Because I need you to come do for us what you did for Healthways, because we don't do proposals very well. Would you consider doing some consulting on the side? And I said, yeah, I think I would. So that led into, I got that gig, started that, and then there was an opportunity to work with HCA. They were building a wellness division within HCA, and the sales guy, I was connected with him via a friend of mine, and started working with him, and that ended up being a 3-year gig, helping him build that whole organization. So that was kind of, I jumped ship from my job with the Chicago company and just took the leap into consulting. And it was easier to do because I had that long-term client that I knew HCA was going to be. And then just started picking up other jobs, all the people that left Healthways at the same time that I did. Of course, I had great relationships with all the salespeople, and those people that got cut or left on their own accord went somewhere else and would call me and say, "Hey, they're not doing proposals here very well. Would you come consult with us?" And those relationships, that's why I talk about the value of building those relationships, because it still sustains me today. I mean, those relationships I built at Healthways are still going. I have clients today that were my salespeople at Healthways, and now they're somewhere else. So.
In addition to running Metre, I understand that you have, and you talked about it a little bit, you have a bar a little bit outside of Nashville. Can you tell us a little bit about the bar and what inspired your journey into the restaurant business?
Yeah. Well, in short, my wife. So she, 6 years ago now, wow, she had been working as a sales rep for a local cheesemaker for several years, and then she left that job and needed a job, and she couldn't figure out, what am I going to do next? You know, what do I want to do? I don't think I want to do that anymore. And so we just started talking about this idea. You know, we eat and drink for fun. That's pretty much how we have fun. Going out and eating different things and drinking all the drinks, and it was very social. And so we had both kind of seen, a bar in our future at some point. And so we just started going down that road and talking about it. And when her and I had first met, she lived in East Nashville, of course, where there's a plethora of, bars within walking distance. But I own my house out here in Nashville. So she moved out here to Donaldson, and nothing's within walking distance. And there was no local neighborhood bar. I mean, there were a few, but none that had craft beer, and we were big craft beer people. And so we thought, well, we can either sit around and complain about it, or we can open one. So I said to her, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, I think so. I said, okay. And so I started writing a business plan. We hired a consultant to help with the numbers. What does the bank need to see to get a small business loan? And started down that road. And here we are, almost 5 years later. We'll be 5 in August.
Wow.
And and so Jennifer, my wife, she runs Homegrown. I do a lot of the marketing, most of the marketing for Homegrown, and she runs the day-to-day operations of it. And it's a little tough right now, having to be closed, but our community has really gathered around us and is continuing to support us as much as they can. And so good news is that the beer board is now allowing us to deliver growlers.
Oh, wow.
So I love it. And I'm just like, just try to take that back. Oh no, this is a thing now. We're gonna always deliver beer. So that's made people happy. That's made us happy.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of how it started. It was just, there was a gap, and we filled it. And we have become exactly what we wanted to be, which just is a neighborhood hangout where people can come and chill. And sometimes we have live music, but we're all about conversation with the neighbors. It's a small place. We have a really nice group of regulars. We have a mug club. And so it's really everything we wanted it to be, and are so happy with it. So.
What do you like best about running your own business?
Well, I guess best is that we get to make the decisions, right? We get to decide how we want to do things. I'm a pretty quick decision maker, and I go with my gut, and it usually works out. And so, and Jennifer has the flip side of that. So we're very good together. I'm Pollyanna over here, optimistic. And, it's all going to work out. And she's over here, looking at, well, but this could happen. Oh yeah. But I think it's that we get to do what we want to do. And, when, we're focused on doing things for the right reasons, and that pays off.
Absolutely. So on the flip side of that, what do you like least about running your own businesses?
That you never stop working.
Mm-hmm.
You're working all the time. And that's not entirely a bad thing, because we love it. We like what we do, but there's not a time we're not thinking. And so that took time, especially now that we're in business together, with homegrown. Working with your spouse is not easy. We have although we complement each other very well, we do things very differently. And basically, I just needed to step back and say, you know what? She's got this. She's not going to do it the way I would do it, but it's going to get done, and it's going to be just fine. I've got Metre to run over here. So let it go. And since that happened, it's been a lot better. But you just never stop working. There's always, your conversations are always around ideas that you have for this or that. But you get into a groove after a while. Like I said, we're 5 years in, and you get into a groove and understand not every conversation has to be about homegrown. Not every conversation has to be about Metre. And in the world we live in now, we can be down at our favorite little boutique hotel in St. Croix and, still be working. I can work there just as well as I can work here. It's a little different with the restaurant, but we've gotten to a place now where we have a really good staff that enables us to do that.
Do you have any advice for any of those aspiring entrepreneurs out there?
Be prepared. Save money. Have a good cushion going in. Make a plan. And know what you're getting into. Because it's really not for the faint of heart. You work more, not less, in your every role. You don't just I don't just do proposal work. I'm also IT support for my company. I'm also, do some of the accounting. You play all the roles. And so you're not just working in the business, but you also have to work on the business and keeping it growing and what comes next and all of that. Just saying it makes me tired. But surround yourself with people that you can learn from. That's really important. I'm always wanting to be in the room with people that are better than me. So like moving to Nashville when I was a aspiring singer and songwriter, I knew that probably I wasn't going to ever make a living at that, but I just wanted to be around people that were better than me. And I wanted to learn from those people that were better than me. And so if you're going to go into business, spend time with people that you can learn from, and be open to things happening in ways that you could never anticipate, and being flexible. You got to roll with the punches. Like, even though that singing career didn't work out for me, I had a band at Healthways, right? The company band. We had a band for 3 years. We played some really cool gigs, including the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So
wow,
things work out just the way they're supposed to. So I guess just having that faith that if I step into this, things will reveal itself and will help me move forward.
So last question before we head into our surprise rapid fire questions round.
Oh, goody.
What are 3 things that not many people know about you?
Wow. Well, that's a tough one because I'm pretty open. And I speak a lot. And I talk a lot about my family, my home life. So there is not much that people don't know about me. I don't drink coffee. That's
a big one.
That's weird, right? Nobody in my family drinks coffee. My parents didn't drink coffee. My grandparents didn't drink coffee. I want to be part of that coffee culture because it seems so cool. I don't know. There is not a lot that people don't know about me. I guess that, singer-songwriter thing. I aspire to write a book someday. I don't know that anybody knows that. Or to be on a bigger stage speaking to people outside of APMP. I've done that a little bit, but I'd like to do more of that.
Robin, being an entrepreneur, a music person, running a restaurant, an APMP professional, running chapters, Robin. I don't know how you manage your time, Robin. It's amazing. Robin, I think at the very end, you told us just now that you're planning to write a book. Robin, do you have a title in mind? What would be the book's name?
Well, it hasn't come to me yet. So how I generally work is if I have an idea, what I call it is I just put it out into the universe, say, I think I want to write a book. And then it just sits out there and it floats around. And how my life kind of works is that if that's supposed to come to fruition, then signs will start happening. Things will start falling in my path, or people will come into my life that either is a novelist or a writer, or those things sort of happen and either tells me, yes, you're on the right path, keep going, or maybe this is never going to happen. So let that go. So I don't see that yet. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know yet. So it's still out there percolating.
100%, because you can talk about a lot of things there. And I can imagine what subject you're going to pick up. And if you're bringing all the subjects together, that will be a very interesting book as well. So either way, we'll be so looking forward when it's ready. Yes, I know you are a musician. If you had to pick up a theme song for your life, what would it be?
A theme song?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Maybe Celebration. I just enjoy life. I'm very optimistic. Like I said, I enjoy just taking everything in, learning everything I can learn, trying all the things I can try, and see what I like. So I celebrate life.
Ah,
So yeah, Celebration's a good one.
that's brilliant. So who's your all-time favorite musician or band?
Gosh, you have to make me choose. Because they change, right?
Mm.
But my musical interests change. I like a lot of different things. I guess what's top of mind right now is John Prine, because he just died.
Oh.
He is a brilliant songwriter, and has been very inspiring to me as a songwriter. So if you don't know John Prine, look up John Prine. He just died from COVID-19.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was horrible. It's horrible. It happened 2 days ago. So he's top of mind. As I get older, I get more into songwriters, even if they're not good singers. So I was always about the singer, right? I love a good voice. Why I love country music is because it tells a story, and I love storytelling, and I love harmonies. So I was a big fan of the Judds for years. I love Little Big Town for the harmony. So I resonate to them for those reasons. But Todd Snyder is he's infamous, I suppose. He's a songwriter from Oregon, and he's been around for a very long time. He can't sing worth a shit, really. He's not a good singer, but he writes brilliant songs, and so I'm kind of into him right now too.
Ah, perfect. Do you like writing songs or singing songs, Robin?
I love singing, yes. I don't do much of it these days, and that's fine. I haven't written a song since I really got into writing proposals. It is such a different mindset. So the process between writing a song and writing proposals, it's a different space in your mind. Songwriting has to be really creative, and you try not to self-edit. You just try to get all the feelings out and get it all down on paper. But I've been in proposals for so long that I'm constantly self-editing, right? And so it's hard to get back into that songwriting space. However, I have this presentation that I do, and I'm hopefully going to do it later this fall at Ben Proposal Con, about what proposal writers can learn from songwriters. Because there's a lot of parallels, right? In a song, you've only got 3 minutes, about 3.5 minutes. So you got to get their attention really quick. You got to keep it. You've got to get them coming back, wanting more. So there's a lot of similarities there.
Is there any favorite song that you have? Do you mind singing a couple of lines for us, Robin?
Oh, my goodness. Well, put me right on the spot. Gosh, I wouldn't even know what to... nothing is coming to my mind at the moment to sing. Nope. Should have given me warning on that. I would have practiced something.
We will...
I guess celebrate good times. Come on. There. The theme of my life. A little celebration.
Thank you, Robin. Yes, next time we'll have an entire singing episode of you.
Right. That'll be fun.
Exactly, Robin, exactly. Now moving on to your other passion, Robin, which is restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, what does your partner cook better than anyone else whom you know?
Oh, wow. So Angie is we have 2 chefs in our kitchen, Angie and Chad, right. And they both bring something different to the table. Angie makes the best pie. So we have a pie of the day. Usually they last about a week. She makes 2 pies, and she is the best pie maker of anybody I've ever known in my life. And so any pie that she makes, awesome. The biggest seller on our menu is probably the Jackson. The Jackson is a sandwich. It's like think French dip, roast beef with the au jus on the side. We call it the Jackson because we had a friend that died a few years ago from a brain tumor. But we had met him and his wife when Jennifer was working a lot of farmers markets with the cheesemaker that she worked for. And they would always come to this farmers market that we did on Saturdays. And we got to know him and his wife. Her name is E.B. and his name is Todd Jackson. And we spent a lot of time connecting with them over food. We went out to eat a lot. We hung out with them in their home. They hang out with us in our home. And so when Todd lost his battle to the brain tumor, we decided it was about the time that we were opening Homegrown. And we said the best way that we can honor Todd is to name a sandwich after him. And so we asked his wife, what is Todd's favorite sandwich? And she said a roast beef sandwich with the au jus, like a French dip. And we done. Mm-hmm. And so it is really popular on our menu. We give a portion of the proceeds to the Vanderbilt Cancer Center because Todd was a Vanderbilt graduate and was really passionate about all things Vanderbilt. So that's our biggest seller for obvious reasons. Not only is the sandwich amazing, but, you get to give back at the same time.
Of the 24 beers on your tap at your restaurant, which is your favorite?
I have a favorite style, but not necessarily a favorite brand. I like pretty much anything that our local brewer, Black Abbey, makes. They're right here in Nashville. But I'm a porter, amber drinker. Those are my favorite styles.
Oh, a porter amber, that's good. Perfect. If you could only visit one Nashville honky-tonk for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Easy. That's Robert's Western World. I love Robert's Western World. And they have a heck of a fried bologna sandwich.
Oh,
and you pair that with a PBR. You don't drink craft beer at Robert's Western World. You just get a PBR and a fried bologna sandwich, and you listen to the swing bands. They always have this great country swing band. It's amazing. Great music.
That's it. Perfect. So if you could only eat three things for the rest of your life, what would you choose?
Macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Steak.
Oh, wow.
And pizza, probably. It was a toss-up between pizza and lasagna. Something in that Italian family.
It's a well-balanced diet, I can see, Robin.
Right. All the pastas and meat. Give me all the pastas and meat. I'm all about it.
Yeah, sounds great to me. It's perfect. In your opinion, is hot dog a sandwich or not?
A hot dog is not a sandwich.
Why
I think
not?
it's its own thing. It's its own thing. Let it be its own thing. I don't think it's a sandwich. I mean, I get it. It's on bread, and yeah. I don't know. I think it's separate.
What's the most interesting thing that you have read or seen this week, Robin?
The most interesting thing I've read or seen this week. I am on a project right now, so I have been heavily writing an executive summary right now. Okay. So I'm barely reading anything else or watching anything else. There's some really good memes out right now, with us all being quarantined.
Yes.
So I've been watching some funny TikTok videos. Those are always fun. I don't know how to do them. There's also, we've been invited to this page on Facebook now that we're all quarantined called Crib Karaoke.
Yep.
And so I haven't figured out what my karaoke song is going to be yet, but people are just logging on and doing a video of themselves doing karaoke. So I guess the best things I've seen this week are funny, nonsensical videos that make me laugh. The best thing that could happen this week.
Exactly, Robin. That's a perfect way, especially when you're self-isolation, you go to mixed emotions all the time, but that's brilliant. So the last one on this one, Robin, so if you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends or family assume that you had done?
What would they have assumed I'd done? Broken some sort of minor rule, or speeding. I do have a lead foot. So driving too fast somewhere or breaking some sort of rule. I'm not much of a rule follower. I'm more of a rule bender. Mm-hmm. So I think, like speed limits, they're suggestions in my mind more than they are limits. so one of those things. Speeding, or I've broken some rule that I thought, do I really have to follow that one?
It's a good one. If you look back, who are the people who you are grateful for in your life and career?
There are so many people that have come into my life, and then most of them just for a season that I learned from. I would say my wife, we're great partners. My sister has always been my rock. I lost my mom in a car accident when I was 20, and so she has been. I admired her so much. As a kid. So I am still influenced by the things that she taught me in my first 20 years, and she still guides me today, as does God, or whatever you call that spiritual thing that's bigger than we are. Mm-hmm. So if all of those elements help drive me and support me, and then just people along the way, could be bosses, could be friends, could be, co-workers. I try to be open to be inspired by anybody. Mm-hmm. There's a lot, everybody thinks so differently, and there's a lot of perspective.
Oh, definitely, Robin. That's brilliant. So what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a proposal career similar to that of yours?
Well, first of all, any of us can do whatever you set your mind to. Just know that whatever you set your mind to, you can do. Make it happen. Build those relationships. I can't say that enough. Do what you say you're going to do. Deliver the things that you say you're going to deliver on. Be flexible. Enjoy the work you do and have fun doing it. A lot of our clients, not only do we add value, obviously, by helping them think differently than they would have thought about themselves and adding, additional perspective, but it's also we're fun to work with. And we make things as easy as possible for our clients. That's what we go in with. Not only I'm going to help guide you and teach you, but we're also going to have fun doing this. It doesn't have to be everybody running around with their hair on fire. So know that and enjoy it as much as possible.
That's a beautiful advice, Robin. So what have you observed lately that reminded you that people are good?
At Homegrown, we had one of our regulars who owns a business, and he bought a $1,000 gift card from us right at the time when we had to close down our dining room. And right before, we got a double whammy here in Nashville. Right before we all had to shut down and quarantine, we had a tornado. And a tornado ripped through Donaldson, our neighborhood. Not us, thank God, but about a mile from here. And so we have friends that completely lost their houses. They literally fell down around them. And so this guy wanted to do two things. He wanted to support us by, buying a $1,000 gift card. And what he bought that for was for any service industry people that need a meal, any tornado victims that are still without a home that need a meal, frontline workers, or people who helped clean up from the tornado, our healthcare workers around the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic. And so it's just amazing. I get to promote this every day on our social media, saying, guys, come in and get a free meal. So that was really amazing. He not only supported us, but supported a whole lot of other people by doing that.
What choices have you made in the last 5 years that you would thank yourself for making?
Choices
or decisions?
In the last 5 years, I would say opening Homegrown, making that decision to open Homegrown. We have gotten to know so many awesome people in our community, and it's changed our lives in such a positive way. I feel so much more enriched by doing that. I would thank myself for making that choice. And by the way, the bank said it was the best business plan they'd ever read. And I said, well, thank God, because I'm a proposal writer.
That's a great
Could be another line of business right there. I can write business plans.
Exactly.
All right, Robin. So we're down to our final 3 questions. It's been so amazing to hear all of the positive impacts you've had on the proposal industry, the Nashville community. So really thank you for, sharing all of that. Looking back, if you could give your younger self any piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
People will love you for who you are. Just be yourself, and you'll find your tribe. And I really believe that that's what happiness is about, right? It's just figuring out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, and then just being that. And not be afraid that someone's going to dislike you, because what's going to happen is you're going to attract all of the people that need to be in your life. And I feel like that's what happiness is about.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like you've kind of marched to that drum throughout your life, and it's brought you a lot of success. So amazing.
Sure.
So over the years, you have accomplished so much, at Healthways, at Metre, with the running a successful restaurant. Are there any accomplishments that you are most proud of?
Hopefully I'm a good person. People tell me, that I have made an impact for them, that I have, helped them in some way. that makes me feel awesome. So anytime that I feel like I've helped someone else either make a decision or feel good about themselves, I just want people to feel good about themselves, and know that, you know, none of us give ourselves enough credit. And so if I can make someone feel good, that makes me feel like I've accomplished something. And that's why I like speaking, and why I like speaking on what I speak about. Because I want people to understand that we all have value.
Yeah.
Every single one of us.
That's great, Robin. You have such a big heart, and it's been amazing, you know, hearing about it today. What is one thing that you're looking forward to in the future?
Leaving the house. Being around the bar at Homegrown with our friends again. We're doing a virtual homie hour. We call it homie hour instead of happy hour because, you know, homegrown homie.
Cute.
So we do virtual homie hours every Friday. That sort of keeps us connected, but it's just not the same. Hugging people. Yeah. I'm a big hugger. Yeah. Maybe, you know, way off in the future, maybe slowing down, freeing up some time. I'd love to be able to do more things to help people instead of just, you know, working all the time. But there's so many possibilities. I just put it out there and see what sticks.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much for your time today. It's really been a privilege.
Thanks for inviting me.
100%, Robin. It's been a privilege to have you with us at Scribble Talk. Wish you all the good health and happiness, and continue to inspire the people, everybody around you. And as you always say, let's be ourselves and let's inspire everybody around us. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy.
Thank you. You do the same.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchyscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays,
Bhaskar Sundram,
signing off.